This is Super Black. I am your host, Carl Waldron, and today we tackle the genius herself, Riri Williams, a.k.a. Ironheart. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Make sure you head over to super.black. That's www.super.black for more Black fandom, representation, and features and podcasts and all that good stuff. We also have a store if you want to buy some sweet merch and represent out there in these streets. Positive vibes all the time. Let's get into it. Riri Williams. She is making her debut in the MCU November 11th? 9th? What's the date that Wakanda Forever comes out? Anyway, she's making her debut in Wakanda Forever, the Black Panther follow-up. You can see her in the trailers, flashing her makeshift Iron Man suit, working with Shuri, who is apparently the new Black Panther. We'll see in the film how that all turns out. But we're not talking about Shuri, not today anyway. Today we're talking about the genius that is Riri Williams. Now, a little backstory on who Riri Williams is. Riri Williams debuted in Invincible Iron Man Volume 3, number 7, in March of 2016 as the character Riri Williams. She did not turn into a superhero and debut until Invincible Iron Man Volume 4, Issue 3, in January of 2017. She, like I said, she is now debuting in the MCU as another young Avenger. It seems like they're trying to build the young Avengers up, or just, you know, all the old Avengers are literally old. So they just have to get more young people in there. Riri was born in Chicago, Illinois, and she was classified as a super genius. I'm using big ass quotes. Super genius at the age of 5. 5 years old. Genius. They got her tested because she was not paying attention in school. She was, very closed off, a very extreme introvert, which I can understand. I'm not extreme introverted, but I am definitely an introvert. So they took her to get evaluated, and I think it was a counselor said, yeah, your daughter there's nothing wrong with her. She's not paying attention because she knows all this stuff. She's brilliant. She's a genius. She doesn't belong here. They wanted to send her to MIT at like 5. But because of her extreme intellect, she's always thinking of new projects. She's always thinking of taking things apart, building it back up. She's very invested in her own ideas and her own projects. So she kind of shuns the world. She doesn't really get along with a lot of people until she meets a young lady named Natalie, who seems to just kind of break right through that shell and become her best friend. And Natalie becomes her conduit to the rest of the world. That is her link to humanity, honestly. If she's not sort of in her own head or tinkering or building or doing something, geniusy, she's hanging out with Natalie and being a normal kid. That all kind of changes, which is the catalyst for a lot of superheroes in general. But Natalie and Riri's stepfather get gunned down in a shootout that happens while she's at a cookout. She loses her best friend. She loses her stepfather, who was very much an influence in her life. And she's left not alone. She's with her mom. But the death of those two people that she loved very much and who are very close to closed her off even more. But it also made her want to act. It also made her want to stop needless death, prevent innocent people from being harmed by, stupidity and evil, basically. So Riri, goes out and reverse engineers a discarded Iron Man suit, and she gets it to work. And it's one of those big Mark IIs or Mark IVs. I can't remember which version of it, but it's the big silver one that you would have seen in the original Iron Man movie, the big clunky one. She reverse engineers one of those types of suits, and starts going out at night and fighting crime as Iron Man, basically. That goes on for a bit, and then I believe she gets approached by Pepper Potts, not Tony Stark. At this point, Tony Stark is, I'm going to use big ass quotes again, dead. So she gets approached by Pepper Potts, who's running Stark Industries, and she gets a grant to come in and be a genius for Stark Industries. And she's given facilities and money, time, and she's able to build her own version of the Iron Man suit, which she dubs Ironheart. Now, the interesting thing there is, after she builds the Ironheart suit, she is gifted, or I don't know if she's gifted, but she obtains the digitized consciousness of Tony Stark himself, who then becomes her Jarvis. So Riri Williams, a.k.a. Ironheart, has the original Iron Man's brain inside of her suit as an AI. So Tony Stark and all his snarky, wisecracking comments is her Jarvis. And she responds to Tony in almost the same snarky, sort of snide way. She's very much her own version of, a Tony Stark, without all the money, I would suppose. So Riri Williams, her Iron Man / Ironheart suit is basically a 1-to-1 recreation of the Iron Man suit, right down to the color scheme. She eventually changes it up a little bit, but her original costume is just the Iron Man suit. Her modifications to it, instead of having the kind of, the repulsor ray. My nerd brain is tangled. I know everyone's screaming at me. What is the thing on his chest called? Arc reactor. The arc reactor on the chest gets removed, and she makes it look like a heart, a.k.a., not a.k.a., hence the name Ironheart. So what are Riri's powers? Well, if you know what Iron Man can do, Riri can do everything that he does. She's also just a straight up genius. She's very much like a new age Tony Stark, but it's said in the comics that she's even smarter than Tony. She's also more closed off, and she's not burdened by alcoholism, but she is burdened by Tony, which is cool. I do like the fact that she is gifted a mentor, which is Tony Stark's AI consciousness, who kind of just follows her around. And he also projects himself as a hologram whenever he's at Stark Industries. So she gets to actually talk to, interact with, and learn from Tony Stark, the original Iron Man. It's an interesting story. And when you think of what or who Tony Stark was to Tom Holland's Spider-Man in the MCU, it's kind of the same relationship, where it's the mentor-mentee type thing. But with Riri, it's a little more direct in that they're literally sharing a superhero persona. So much so that, she built his suit. And they have a lot of quips in the comics about how she built it better, she built it faster, she built it stronger. Her version is sleeker, and she's able to maneuver it better. And the AI is actually kind of jealous of her and her ability to manipulate the suit, which, is pretty cool. She has the standard repulsor rays. She is from Earth 616. I feel like now that we've kind of segued into the multiverse in the MCU, naming what Earth superheroes are from is becoming more and more important, especially on I suppose on this podcast, the deeper we get into the Marvel universe. But she is from Earth 616. She is not standard. Like Miles Morales is not from 616, so you have to he gets merged into that reality. Man, I'm going too deep on this. She's a skilled inventor and a super genius. Those are her inherent abilities. And then, of course, she's bolstered by the suit. So there's not like a million things to talk about with Riri Williams. I mean, there are, but the big thing is it will be making her debut in the MCU in Wakanda Forever, and then she is getting her own Disney Plus series called Ironheart. Now, I don't know what... I'm sure Ironheart's going to follow whatever the fallout is from Wakanda Forever and Namor and that whole business. Hopefully by that time, mutants are mentioned in a more direct and pronounced way in the MCU. They've kind of shuffled their feet with, Miss Marvel, and then who was the other mutant? They mentioned and She-Hulk. They meta mentioned mutants, but with Namor making his debut, he is, if I remember correctly, my nerd brain twisting it, he is the first mutant in the MCU, I believe. Not in the MCU, in the Marvel universe, not the cinematic universe. Like, he was the first mutant, was Namor. They have to reference why he has, flying feet and whatnot, and it's his mutant ability, basically. So hopefully they'll continue the storyline from Wakanda Forever into there, or it might be a prequel to how she ended up in Wakanda to begin with, building the Iron Man suit. Though I don't know how interesting that would be, because I think we'd want to see her in the suit in the series. So maybe they'll give her the big, bulky, reverse engineered suit in the film, and then in her series she'll have the sleeker suit and actually fight some other Iron Man clone. Man, the Disney Plus shows are hard to wrap my brain around. They all sort of follow the same kind of formula, the same way the movies follow their own type of formula, but I really don't want Riri Williams to fight another person in a suit. What would be interesting to me, and this is me not fan casting, but fan writing, fan fictioning the series plot, after Wakanda Forever, hopefully she gets a call from Rhodey, who becomes her mentor. I would love if Don Cheadle became an Iron Mentor, an Iron Man tour. Nailed it. If she learns how to be, an Iron hero from War Machine. We know that Rhodey is going to be in the Secret Invasion Disney Plus show. So he's still kicking around, and Don Cheadle is still an amazing actor. Don Cheadle does not get enough flowers. If you want to watch Don Cheadle be endearing and funny, go watch Heart to Heart with Kevin Hart and Don Cheadle. They have a blast. It's a great conversation. You learn a lot about Don Cheadle and kind of where his mind is at. And hopefully, he gets more flowers in the MCU. But if you pair him up with Riri Williams, and she has a direct line to an actual Iron Man, because, Tony Stark is no longer there, that would be a great sort of mentor-mentee relationship, where we can see Rhodey pass on a lot of the stuff that Tony taught him, and he gets to teach to someone else. I'm looking forward to that. So hopefully that is kind of the direction they go with. If not, you can rope in people from Wakanda Forever, rope in Shuri. She comes in. Should she survive the movie? I don't know what's going to happen there. But in this, what is it? I was going to call it the MCU. In this Disney Plus series, Riri Williams will be played by Dominique Thorne, who will be portraying Riri Williams in the film as well. I don't know what else she's been in before, but she looks like she's having a blast in that trailer. So I'm looking forward to seeing the film. I'm looking forward to watching the show. And yeah, that's kind of the whole backstory on Riri Williams. You know a little bit about her. You know a little bit more about her motivations. And I was about to say something and I completely lost track of what it was. So ignore that and. Let's move on. So a little bit of trivia to end off today's podcast. I started a Did You Know series on Instagram, which I have to bring back. It's been a while. But Riri Williams has a very interesting, I don't know if lineage would be what it's called, but here we go. Did you know that Riri Williams, a.k.a. Ironheart, is a queen? What? Yes. Riri Williams is, or I should say was, the Queen of Latveria. Take that in for a minute. Latveria is where Dr. Doom is from. Weird. So, it all came about by Riri Williams goes on a mission to Latveria to fight, I would say. I don't know what basically, what's this lady's name? The prime minister of, what's that place called? Of Latveria is going ham. Here we go. Lucia von Bardas. She's the prime minister of Latveria. She takes over after Dr. Doom is deposed and done away with. She ends up becoming evil, and she starts doing wild nonsense out there in Latveria. She's a cybernetic warrior. She can shoot beams and all this crazy nonsense. She has all these enhanced body parts that are built with Dr. Doom's tech, all that metal goodness. So she controls like a legion of basically what Iron Man did, with just a bunch of robotic Dr. Dooms. Riri Williams heads over there to Latveria to have an international incident, let's say, and ends up kicking the crap out of Lucia von Bardas. And in her defeat, in front of her military, Riri Williams flippantly declares herself queen. Just, as kind of like putting the lady down, insulting her, saying, like, it doesn't matter what you think, because since I beat you, I guess now I'm queen and I'm running things here. And that prompts her to become queen, for real. So the military recognizes Riri Williams as the new queen of Latveria, and it goes out on the news that she is literally running the nation. So S.H.I.E.L.D., in their infinite wisdom, head over and land, and they go over to Riri and they're like, what the hell are you doing? And she's like, oh, great, I'm glad you're here. I just needed to tell you something. And she leans in real close. She goes, you need to get me the hell out of here. So she gets in way over her head. This like 15-year-old girl is within an Iron Man suit, in an Ironheart suit, has now taken over an entire nation of people. But in true Riri Williams fashion, she uses that opportunity to make positive change in that sort of war-torn place. She implements the first free democratic elections for Latveria, and she begins peace talks between S.H.I.E.L.D. and the military of Latveria to finally kind of end their conflict. And then she opens up schools in the country for kids, and it's like a big deal. Like it's her biggest accomplishment to that point. In tears, she goes to her mother and tells her, Mom, I got them to open schools for these kids. These kids are going to learn. Like they'll have a place to learn. And like there's peace now. And then she, of course, gives up the power to the military, who then facilitate the elections, and then they have a new prime minister and so on and so forth. But for maybe 8 to 10 hours, Riri Williams ran the entire nation of Latveria, which I think is a cool bit of trivia that I don't know, most people probably wouldn't know. And in the grand scheme of the book that it's in, check out Invincible Iron Man number 9 from 2016. That's the issue it's from. In the grand scheme of the issue, I mean, it's not, it is the biggest thing that happens, but, you know, in comics, things just kind of happen. But when you pull it out of context and just say Riri Williams was the Queen of Latveria, you're like, what? Why? Where's Dr. Doom in this? Like, so definitely go read that issue. Go read the volume. Go read Ironheart Volume 1 and 2. They're good books. They give you a great, obviously, they give you great insight into Riri Williams and kind of her thought process. And you get to watch the birth of a new generation of Iron heroes, with her being one of them. She ends up, I believe, in the, what's the name of that silly group? The Champions? Is that what it's called? I forget the name of her one of her groups, but she becomes part of the Young Avengers, basically. Yeah, she's an interesting character. I showed a picture of her to my daughter, who was super excited. I remember Samantha and I are walking in the supermarket, and she sees a little Iron Man toy. She goes, "Daddy, I want the Iron Man toy." I'm like, "You don't know anything about Iron Man. You don't like Iron Man. You just want me to buy you something." She goes, "No, I really want it." So it's like, did you know that there is a little black girl who has her own iron armor? She goes, "Really?" Like, yeah, her name is Riri Williams. She goes, "What? Show me." So we get home and I pull up a picture of Riri Williams. She goes, "Wow, she looks like me." And man, my heart filled so much. Like, yes, this is why Super Black exists, because sometimes kids don't know that there are heroes that look like them. Not just my daughter, but other people's kids, not, black, white, Asian. There are people who just don't know that there are superheroes that look like them. And I was able to facilitate that for my daughter. And it's not the first time, but it was certainly heartwarming regardless. So that's going to do it for today's episode of Super Black. Thank you so much for joining me. I super, super duper appreciate all of your support. Please tell a friend, tell 2 friends, tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell your grandmama to come listen to the show. I would super appreciate that as well. We do have a store, super.black/shop, if you want some merch. More episodes to come. And we also have some cool new giveaways to give away. I believe I have one of the D&D books to give away. The Journey to the Radiant Citadel is the name of it. It's written by all people of color, so that should be interesting. So we're going to give one of those away. We have a series of trading cards that we're going to be giving away as well. You can see that on our Instagram at superblack.org. And we have our YouTube channel that's going up soon, where we will be doing video versions of this podcast. And doing playthroughs of video games with leads who are black or a person of color. So that should be fun. You can come by, say what's up, watch my silly face as I yammer on and on about superheroes again. But that's it. That's the stop of the show. Thank you all for listening. I appreciate you. Full stop.